What's going on, guys? It's Troydan here. And today, we've got the most disturbing moments caught on Livestream. The most disturbing thing I think caught on my Livestream was probably when I burnt mozzarella sticks. That was really awful. Haven't seen it go.
In December of 2022, the authorities in Northern Ireland came across a bizarre crime scene where the most likely suspect was somehow in two places at once. It all started on the 18th of December when Irish YouTuber VoteSaxon07, whose real identity is 33-year-old Stephen McCullen, live-streamed himself playing GTA Vice City. The stream started at around 6 p.m. and Stephen stayed live for about 6 hours, till midnight. The stream itself was quite unremarkable, with Stephen playing the game mostly in silence, broken by his occasional commentary. Unfortunately, while he was streaming comfortably in his home, his 32-year-old girlfriend, Natalie McNally, was going through something downright horrific. Stephen, however, was completely unaware of this and promptly went to sleep after ending the stream. The next day, he woke up to a barrage of calls and messages regarding Natalie. She was apparently at her parents' house the night before to watch the World Cup finale. The match ended at around 6 p.m. and Natalie went back to her home shortly after, which wasn't too far away. She lived alone in Northern Ireland with her 2 cats and a dog. However, the next day, no one could get through to Natalie. She didn't show up to work and wasn't picking up her phone either. At the time, she was also 15 weeks pregnant with Stephen's child. So when she went silent, her friends and family grew worried, fearing she was facing some health concerns. After learning about her absence,
it wasn't menopause. This one, sorry, it was on my conscience. It wasn't menopause.
And waiting a few hours for a response, Stephen went to her home, which was about 20 minutes away from his home in Lisburn. Unfortunately, he was too late. When Stephen arrived at Natalie's home, the door was wide open. Inside, he found her lifeless on the floor. She had been killed.
Detectives from the Major Investigation Team have now launched a murder investigation following the death of Natalie McNally in Lurgan. This follows the results of the post-mortem. The 32-year-old died a violent death, having been stabbed a number of times, and there are signs of defensive injuries.
Post-mortem reports showed that she was killed on the night of December 18th, not long after she came back from her parents' home. However, investigators did not find any evidence of a forced entry into her home. This, combined with the fact that Stephen was the one who reported her death to the police, made him the lead suspect in her murder investigation. And he was arrested shortly after. However, this arrest didn't last long, because as the authorities quickly found out, Stephen had a strong alibi. According to the post-mortem report, Natalie was killed during the same time Stephen was live streaming from his home.
Okay, this might sound a little messed up, but I never thought about killing anyone. But, you know, you could do a VOD. You could run a VOD and then tell the cops I was live, because they don't know any better. I would never kill anyone. Well, unless they're an op. Why am I saying this?
Investigators looked through Natalie's phone and found the last text Stephen sent to her at 5:57 p.m., which read, "Right, I'm off to stream the night away. Wish me luck." To which Natalie replied, "I might have a peek at your live stream later." This was enough to clear Stephen's name from any wrongdoing, but it left investigators with no clear direction on where to look next. Stephen did give them the name of someone he suspected. However, investigating that person didn't lead to any breakthrough in the case either, and the name of this person was never made public for this reason. Luckily, detectives found CCTV footage a few days later showing a man dressed in dark clothes and white shoes heading towards Natalie's home at 8:52 p.m. And then the same person going back about 40 minutes later. Given his timing, investigators determined that this was the killer. Shockingly, he had the same height and build as Stephen. This put him on the radar once again, but it also raised a valid question. If Stephen was the perpetrator, how could he be in two places at the same time? Without any other option, the authorities put a £20,000 reward for information regarding the killer and continued investigating.
£20,000?
They also feared that by the time they started this investigation, the killer could have easily fled to any of the neighboring countries. In the meantime, Natalie's case had become national news, resulting in multiple memorials around the country. This put even more pressure on the investigators to find the killer as quickly as possible. They made several arrests and even seized the suspect's car. Investigators also found the weapon the killer used on the 5th of January 2023, which was a knife from her own home. However, none of these developments brought them any closer to identifying the killer. That is until January 31st when they arrested Stephen again, but this time with solid evidence. As it turns out, the only thing keeping him out of suspicion, the live stream, was completely fake. The whole thing was pre-recorded and broadcasted to simply look like a live stream. After his arrest, investigators went through his computer and found the original recording, which was made on the 14th of December, 4 days before the incident. They also found a taxi driver who described picking up someone matching Stephen's profile near the murder at 9:30 p.m. and then dropping this person near Stephen's house. Most importantly, according to the taxi driver, this passenger had forgotten his wallet at home, so he quickly ran inside his house to get the money. And as expected, he ran into Stephen's home. All this evidence left no doubt in the fact that Stephen was the one who went to Natalie's home to commit a predetermined crime.
I knew it!
In hindsight, there were plenty of suspicious moments during the fake live stream that should have raised more alarms.
Wow.
For starters, the stream was titled The Violent Night Christmas Live Gaming Stream. At the start of the stream, Stephen also claimed that he was having technical issues with the streaming software, which he used as an excuse as to why he wouldn't be able to interact with the live chat.
This is why all pre-recorded streams should be banned. Let's just ban them right now, Donald. Let's do it all.
Well, because this streaming software is kind of up the left, it means I can't check the live chat, which is a real shame. So, by all means, talk amongst yourselves.
This ensured that no one questioned why he wasn't talking with his viewers, which is essentially the whole point of doing a stream instead of posting a pre-recorded video. At the start of the stream, Stephen made sure to repeatedly mention what day it was.
Hello to all in this glorious Monday evening. Yeah, so I just thought, why not? I'm gonna do a live stream because this day next week is Christmas. So what more could you want for Christmas other than an evening with your old pal Stephen?
This was likely an effort to make his alibi stronger and to say, look, I was streaming the same night. I even mentioned the day at the beginning. On top of that, many moments in the stream also took on a far more disturbing meaning after the truth came out. Like him singing about killing someone in-game, which can also be interpreted as him cryptically talking about his girlfriend.
I need to kill it. I need to take her down. 'Cause I won't pass the mission if I don't get this to die.
Well, he's on a tough
At another point
mission.
during the stream, he makes a pun that sounds like Natalie's name and finds it unusually amusing.
Yeah, that's physics. That's what would happen in the real world. Absolutely. Absolutely.
The most creepy moment, however, was about halfway through the stream. While he was on break, suddenly the live stream back soon graphic switched with a poster of a James Bond movie called No Time to Die.
Bro, dude! Oh my god.
Stephen later claimed that this was an accident. He accidentally dropped his controller on the keypad, which made the strange graphic come up. But since we now know that the live stream was pre-recorded, Stephen deliberately included this graphic at this point during the editing, likely alluding to the crime he was going to commit on that day. This theory becomes even more credible once you consider the fact that this movie poster came up at about 9:15 p.m., which perfectly aligns with the time he was at Natalie's house committing the brutal crime. That said, his clever schemes were derailed and he was charged with murder. He was also refused bail. And at the time of writing, he's awaiting trial on May 6, 2025. Hopefully, Natalie and her family can get the justice they deserve.
Dude, that guy, I literally said that's exactly what someone was gonna do. That's why I said I was gonna do. I didn't mean to. I'm not gonna kill anyone. I didn't think he was actually gonna do it. It's a hell of an alibi.
On April 4th, 2020, Ernest Wilson went live on Facebook during a house party, without knowing that these were his final moments alive. Ernest was a 24-year-old warehouse worker living in Baltimore, Maryland. The only passion he had in life was for partying, playing board games, and turning them into drinking games. Unfortunately, the 2020 pandemic and the subsequent lockdown closed every public venue he frequented. So he decided to take matters in his own hands and came up with a solid plan. He would rent Airbnbs, host an invite-only party which he referred to as a game night with a fee to cover the expenses, and have a good time with his friends. These parties started off small but quickly grew in numbers as more and more people became aware of them. And on April 3rd, he went onto Facebook to plan another party that weekend, asking, "Should I do game nights again this weekend?" And, "We playing hide and seek at game night tonight?"
Ew,
after receiving enough confirmations, he decided to go ahead with the plans and announced a 2-day game night with free entry for girls and a $5 fee for the guys. Not long after this announcement, he also made a post about bringing uninvited people, stating, "Please don't show up with nobody I didn't personally invite if we didn't discuss it first." They're going to get left outside. Maybe he had experienced problems with uninvited guests at past events. Or maybe he simply wanted to know the exact number of attendees ahead of time. But in hindsight, his concern makes a lot more sense. As the night approached, Ernest started the event, and it went just as well as he could have hoped, with everyone dancing and having a good time. That is until 2:30 a.m. when the group decided to play the hide-and-seek game they discussed earlier. Ernest took charge as the first seeker and began a countdown at the Airbnb's backyard.
What adult plays hide-and-seek?
2, 3, 4, 5.
Why is he counting weird?
6.
However, as soon as he began searching for his friends, he stumbled upon something completely unexpected.
What?
1,
Who's climbing the gate?
3. Who the is that, G?
I don't know. I'm in your face.
Get your on the other side of this gate.
What?
Who the? This
What
can't
is
be one
this?
of my friends.
Who are you?
He saw someone trying to jump the fence and break into the property. Now, the correct response would have been to go back
shoot him.
inside to safety and call the cops on this intruder.
No, that's not it.
However,
no,
Ernest
you
was
shoot him. You shoot him.
already a
Sorry.
bit under the influence at the time and made the biggest mistake of his life. He decided to confront the man on his own, and that's when things took a turn. The intruder was armed, and after some back and forth, tragically shot Ernest before fleeing the scene, all of which could be heard on the live stream.
That's crazy. I thought Ernest was gonna kill him.
On the ground. Hey, Pod!
What a crazy
The police
scenario.
arrived at the property at 2:45 a.m. where they found Ernest lying in a pool of his own blood. According to the few statements that were released to the public, this appeared to be a case of a robbery gone wrong. However, some believe there was more to the story. This is because during Ernest's struggle with the intruder, a girl can be heard laughing in the background.
Hey, Pod!
Do we hear a giggling
As the
Pod?
story goes, this girl was an accomplice of the intruder who planned to either rob the place or eliminate Ernest for some reason,
wow.
with one person on YouTube writing, "That girl tried to let someone in the front door, or she knew who tried coming through the door. Once discovering it was locked, she told them to hop the fence as clear as day. I would start with her boyfriend."
Huh.
Unfortunately, from what I can find, the police never caught the suspect, and Ernest's case remains open to this day.
Oh, wow.
So, whatever their motive was, I doubt we'll ever know.
Yeah, we need justice
especially
for
5 years
Ernest,
later.
dude. It's messed up. Y'all playing hide and seek. I thought it was going to go a different
On
way.
September 7th, 2024, a 32-year-old man by the name of Joseph Couch opened fire
Is that Bossman Jack? It looks a little bit like
on
it.
vehicles traveling down I-75 near the city of London, Kentucky. He managed to hit 12 cars, injuring 5 people. Fortunately, there were no fatalities. As authorities rushed to his location, Joseph managed to escape into the wooded area alongside the highway. This left the investigators with no choice but to search the Daniel Boone National Forest, hoping to find the mass shooter. In the meantime, they also began looking into Joseph's past and made some chilling discoveries. He served in the Army Reserve from 2013 to 2019 before receiving an honorable discharge due to him developing PTSD. More importantly, this wasn't his first entanglement with law enforcement. Back in 2015, he was arrested for throwing a rock at a dog and then pointing an AR-15 at its owner.
Who throws a
Joseph
rock
had
at
to
a
pay
dog?
$1,000 for bail, and the case was later dismissed a few months later.
Give that fucker
However,
life.
the same year he was arrested again. This time for supplying a minor with alcohol and vandalizing private property with spray paint. This resulted in him having to spend 6 months in jail, alongside 200 hours of community service and a $1,500 fine. All of this highlighted just how mentally unstable he was. Something that became even more apparent when investigators factored in the messages he sent to his ex before the shooting. These read, "I'm going to kill a lot of people.
Oh, great.
Well, at least try. I'll myself afterwards."
You'll goon?
His past record and these texts
kill
also made it
himself.
clear that Joseph wouldn't go down without a fight if they managed to find him. Unfortunately, the search for him wasn't progressing as smoothly as they'd hoped.
The search for the suspected highway gunman, Joseph Couch, intensifies as law enforcement has expanded its search efforts. State police say they are extending their search deeper
This guy
into the
looks
Daniel
so
Boone
familiar
National
for some
Forest as the
reason.
manhunt
This is a
for Couch
YouTuber. I just don't know
enters
which
day
one.
7.
Local agencies were forced to close a section of I-75 and shut down schools, fearing Joseph might strike again. Eventually, they did manage to find his SUV, which also had numerous cases of ammo for the AR-15 style rifle he used for the shooting. However, this didn't provide any clues about his current whereabouts. In a desperate measure, the authorities put a $35,000 reward for finding Joseph to enlist the help of locals. And that's where the McCoy couple entered the picture. Fred McCoy and his wife Sheila operate a museum dedicated to the historic feud between the Hatfield and McCoy families in Kentucky. They also run a small YouTube channel dedicated to this museum called Hatfield McCoy Museum Adventures, where they discuss the various aspects of that feud in greater detail. After hearing about the massive reward, the couple decided to give it a go. They had lived in the area their entire lives and knew the wilderness well.
$35,000. That's a sweet little piece of money.
Hey, he's a little sweet piece. Money buy-ins on sweet bonanza. You get with
We're
that?
hoping he finds us. But we're going looking for this couch guy.
Hell yeah, Dad, go get him! Dude, that's my
They
dad,
also decided
bro.
to live stream their adventure through
30
the
years
Kentucky
younger,
forest on YouTube, likely to have an instant record of whatever they find. They truly believed they could find him, and luck was on their side. Because during one of their live-streamed expeditions, Fred noticed a whole bunch of vultures hovering over the same area, possibly indicating a rotting corpse nearby. The two decided to head towards the vultures, and just 30 minutes later, the McCoys found what they were looking for.
You found him? Oh, my Lanta.
Is he dead?
I'm coming. Oh, my Lanta, you found him? Oh, my Lanta.
They immediately alerted the authorities, who used DNA testing to confirm the body was indeed Joseph Couch. A later autopsy report also confirmed that he went through with the plan he talked about in his message. After 13 days of searching, the I-75 shooter mystery finally came to a close, ending the manhunt and easing the fear of Joseph still being out there.
Man, that was a good little loot to find in the wildy.
On October 28, 2019, a 47-year-old Japanese man named Tetsu Shiohara live-streamed himself climbing Mount Fuji.
Bro, what is going on in this
what was supposed to be
room?
nothing more than a fun stream quickly turned into an avoidable tragedy. You see,
Is he a
Tetsu had
hoarder?
been climbing Mount Fuji since 2017 and had already reached the summit many times. However, all of those previous expeditions were during the climbing season, which stretches from July to mid-September. And while it's not an easy task, it's far safer during these months with maintained trails, milder weather, and resting huts along the way that also sell essential supplies like food and oxygen cans. So when Tetsu decided to climb the mountain in late October, it was already covered in thick, slippery snow. And the conditions were far harsher than he could have imagined, with winds reaching up to 60 miles per hour.
Yeesh.
All of the resting spots on the mountain were also closed for the off-season. But despite this being his first off-season climb, the unfavorable conditions did not deter Tetsu. He was determined to reach the summit and make it back in a single day. Unfortunately, the stream didn't get off to a good start, as he forgot to bring essentials like thicker socks to keep his feet
This
warm
guy
and
just
crampons
sucks
to
at
prevent his
climbing,
shoes
dude.
from
He
slipping.
just sucks at it. Why are you doing this?
あ、靴下。あれ
What are you
靴下忘れ
doing?
た。
You have
Yeah, yeah.
crampon? Tampons?
バス。何がちょっと待って。
What's a crampon?
Later, he also commented on how he didn't bring any food with him to
Oh my,
avoid
this
making his
guy, I
backpack
don't
too
know, man. He
heavy.
might have deserved it.
But as the climb continued, not having food became the least of his worries, as he quickly realized the snow that day was deeper than he could have imagined. On his way to the top, he passed several points where the trail had collapsed due to bad weather. About 2 hours into the hike, his viewers started to notice how dangerous things were getting as well, and began urging him to turn back before reaching the summit.
Yeah, I bet they did.
know.
I bet that's what they say.
一般客だね。
Keep going, you pussy.
だよね。
Go to the top. Look at your five gifted.
でも山頂まで行けちゃうと思うよ。この。
However, he ignored all the warning signs and pressed on with the hike, and by sheer willpower actually managed to get close to the summit. Sadly, this is where his luck ran out. While treading through a particularly steep section of the trail, Tetsu slipped and fell down the mountainside.
なんか外埋まってんだけど雪で。
Jeez, look how he's above the clouds here.
ここも危ないね。ちょっとね斜面。あ、
Oh my god, dude, it's crazy. Yo, this is wow.
Seconds after slipping, his phone hit a rock and turned off, ending the live stream.
Oh my.
His viewers immediately alerted the authorities. However, due to the harsh conditions, it took rescue workers 2 days to locate Tetsu's body. They found it severely dismembered, 2,300 feet below the point where he'd slipped. Now, for most people, this was an open and shut case of an inexperienced and underprepared person misjudging the dangers of Mount Fuji. But I came across some interesting theories regarding the situation. For example, one person stated, "I don't think he wanted to go exactly how/where he did on the mountain, but if you ever saw the live stream, you'd know that he definitely was planning on doing it, probably at the top. The chat was begging him to turn back, and he made constant, likely deliberate references to not being fully equipped.
No Kami spirit.
Additionally,
What?
he had a very ample and generous amount of time to turn around if it had purely been a mistake, with the last few people he met warning him to not go any further." In other words, Tetsu intended to end everything that day.
Read the
The
rest
missing
of it.
equipment was a deliberate decision, not an oversight. Although there's no evidence to prove this theory, and we'll never know for sure if this was actually his intention.
That's how it ends. Wow, that last one's hard to feel bad for that. I mean, come on, dude. At some point, you gotta realize that life is risky, especially when you're doing something so incredibly stupid. The four most disturbing moments caught. Dude, that first one is still crazy. That's absolutely nuts. I've always said, like, you know, if one of them streamers out there, they wanted to, like, do a murder, they could just do a live stream at the same time, and they'd be like, hey, I was live streaming. You know, and that's what he did. Though for some reason he was gloating about it. This is very strange. Guys, if you got a video like me to watch or react to, you can post it in my Discord. Thank you for watching, and kids, stay off mountains when they're closed off season and no one's there to help you. Just stay off the mountain.